Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. You guys know the drill. If you're new here, don't forget to smash the like. Also, shout out to our sponsors, Manscaped, who's gonna be with us for another 3 months. So happy to extend our beautiful partnership, especially with April coming up, May coming up, the title around the corner. Manscaped being with us is a huge deal for us because they are one of the biggest brands out there.
Like.
Especially
Also, shout out to our
for
sponsors,
men's grooming.
Manscaped,
They're the pioneers
who's
of
going to be with us
grooming,
for
but they
another
have
three
a
months.
huge, I mean, huge catalog of products ranging from shower gels, beard waxes, trimmers, loungewear, you name it, they have it. So you guys asked for a platform basically to show us some love in return for what we have been doing for 2.5 years or so right now, and this is the perfect excuse. LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping on Manscaped. The link is in the live chat as well. The link is in the description too. So go check them out. Go show them some love. Show us some love. But yeah, boys, talk to me. What's the feeling like in 9 days? Basically our season is going to be defined. So many people's careers are going to be defined. I'm super nervous, super excited as well. Nervous, excited, to say the least. I'll come to you more first. This game, yes, this was an obstacle that we really had to basically go through for City. La Liga has been kind of in the bag for at least a couple of weeks now. The Girona game was a big stride forward, and today I'm happy to tell you all, and you guys would have the same feeling as well. This is at least three steps towards the title again. Um, but yeah, man, talk to me, Mo. Quick reactions from the game. How's the feeling?
Now, and first of all, I think the first thing you have to point out is the fact that you are looking very suave today, with your haircut and everything. So,
Thank you so
look
much.
nice. So,
$15 it took me, but yeah.
yeah, and so once we have the important things out of the way, now on to the less important things. I think, yeah, man, this game was like you said, a potential, banana skin fixture, but we got past it without slipping. So everybody has to be happy for it. I remember there was this one image going around on Reddit, and I think it was also on Twitter, where the Barcelona fans had this whole Excel sheet mapped out where they were putting out where we are going to drop points and where they are going to keep winning. So I think Bilbao was a fixture that they highlighted as Madrid probably losing. So I kind of feel nice about the fact that we have won this game, and we avoid the voodoo that comes with it. So, but yeah, Athletic, given the form that they had this season, they were fourth coming into this game, 1 point ahead of Athletic. So I'm pretty happy that we stroll on to a comfortable. It's like maybe some people watching the game, felt like Bilbao had a lot of Athletic Club had a lot of the ball, but I think we were in control pretty much. They didn't really do much with possession, and at the end of the day, we scored 2 goals. Probably could have scored more if we were a little bit more prolific and if we had luck on our side and the referee was somebody else. But overall, you're pretty happy when you win 2-0.
100%. I mean, yeah, like I could see some of the gripes people had on Twitter and Reddit and whatnot. But personally, for me, yes, we were in control for large parts, but it was largely due to how toothless Bilbao were, and I would also kind of shine some light on. I mean, you have to kind of focus on the mitigating circumstances as well. So many of these guys have been going at it for the past 7 or 8 months, have been really run to the ground basically, whether it be with the national team, whether it be with our club side. The schedule really doesn't do anybody any favors, and you could see there were some leggy players and some iffy passing, but I could understand, and the people who were actually being a bit unhappy as to how we kind of approach this game, especially in the first half with City right around the corner. I could get their gripes, but yeah, man. I guess a way of kind of dealing with what lies ahead maybe might have been a self-conscious plan to play with handbrakes on, to put it slightly. But Farouk, man, it's been a while. You and me, 1-1, waging war. I hope we keep it aside for the night. We really are seething. But today's performance was okay, Farouk.
Yeah, it was okay. And you mentioned like like Athletic Bilbao, where like you said like toothless in attack. I kind of look at it from a different perspective. I think you have to give credit to the defensive solidity of this team because basically that's what our team has been built upon. It's like they get the ball and our players are first there. It's Nacho, it's Rudiger. Like that partnership was something that in my opinion, like just built more confidence in my mind at least, or in the mind of other fan base as well. Like going into the game against Man City, because of course we know it's going to be something similar. They're going to have a lot of possession, and we're going to have to find a way to be able to nullify or like negate that possession they have. So yeah, I see it as one way. And another thing that we also have to talk about, is like, I think for any fan of Real Madrid, we've always mentioned the fact that Rodrigo's form eventually is going to be so important and influential in deciding if we go or exit the Champions League. And I think the way he took the game in stride today, I think was nothing short of phenomenal. So for me overall, I think it was more than a good game. Like honestly, it was a game that brought more confidence leading into the game against Man City.
100%. Since you mentioned about Rodrigo, I think we should start right off with the man of the match. And for me, it's twofold. His performances have kind of improved slightly over the past couple of weeks. I think the Brazil games, definitely gave him a lot more confidence. And me and Mo were having a discussion about how he's kind of a bit more daring, or a bit more assertive in the games that he has played with the Seleção. And I was kind of the opinion maybe the way they set up might be the reason, but it could be a combination of both. It's motivation, big opponents, the big stage, obviously playing at the Wembley, playing at the Bernabeu. You as a professional, you can't really ask for more, right? Like, this is the biggest, the grandest stages of them all, and it might be the right time, basically, where he kind of turns a corner, especially regarding his confidence that was clearly lacking. We all know Rodrigo is one of, or if not the cleanest finisher we have in our side. Whether it be running from deep, whether it be in tight spaces inside the box. This man has an eye for goal, and has a way of finishing goals that seems so effortless. And two of those goals today was a perfect example of why we rate Rodrigo so highly. And when he doesn't perform, we sometimes, especially me, since I have a very large bias towards how much I love this kid. I might maybe tend to be a little more harsh, but Mo, Rodrigo's performance, like, can you put it solely down to the fact that Vinicius was missing? I mean, it's not like that's a controversial statement. Perhaps he is given a lot more freedom to be left oriented tonight. Would have been a telling factor in how much he basically had an influence in the game. Can you say that?
For me personally, I can understand when people say that because that's
Mm,
a pretty valid argument to make. But for me, I've always felt like when Vinicius is not playing, Rodrigo kind of plays the role of being the primary scorer. Like I've said this before as well. With Vinicius on the field, I think the team caters to Vinicius being the primary scorer. With Vinicius off the pitch, Rodrigo is he obviously becomes the main, the main person for whom the team is creating all the chances. So I think today was again one of those things, and I kind of feel that he was helped by the fact that he had a lot of space to exploit. Given the fact that how Bilbao were playing, so he took advantage of it. But then, for me personally, I think when Vinicius, Bellingham, and Rodrigo play, all three of them play together, what happens is the fact that Rodrigo becomes a facilitator. His role diminishes and he kind of recedes into the background. He recedes in importance. But when games come around, when Vinicius is in there, I think Rodrigo enjoys a lot more freedom. But then that does not take away from the fact that we, in previous games, we haven't just criticized him for not scoring goals. We also criticized him for his attitude, for his behavior, and I mean, I don't mean attitude and behavior in a wrong way. I kind of mean it in a way that he hasn't been imposing. He hasn't been somebody who has shown himself to step up in key moments, right? In the last particular run of games, because we know that Rodrigo can do that. So for me personally, I felt like today he kind of stepped up again in the game against Brazil. I think it was Brazil against Spain at the Bernabeu, and I think we were having a chat after that. In that game, he felt like somebody who was taking charge of the situation, somebody who was making things happen, somebody who was dominant, somebody who was assertive, somebody who was telling his players, even Vinicius, as to how to position themselves with respect to him. Somebody who was dropping deep and combining with the players. When I think it was a particular clip that we were talking about, and I said that clip showed what kind of combinations Rodrigo could play, and it was kind of reminiscent of how Benzema used to play for Real Madrid when he was here, especially in the last 4 years or some of his tenure over here. So I think that is kind of the Rodrigo that we need. Somebody who can combine with everybody. Somebody who doesn't shy away from combining with players. Probably he's not comfortable with, because at this time at Real Madrid, sometimes you feel kind of like he doesn't really have the combination with Brahim down, so he sometimes kind of struggles with it. So for me personally, I need Rodrigo to be more daring, more brave, like you said. And once he starts combining well with others, and I think Ancelotti also kind of needs to place him, maybe give him more freedom to roam centrally, because I think Ancelotti has said this before as well, that he likes he said that before, that Rodrigo is best off playing as second striker or a cam or something centrally. So I think he needs to give him that freedom, and I think Rodrigo also needs to make those run-ins behind and attack the space that is left behind after Vinicius and Bellingham are making their moves. So yeah, I mean, in games like these where he's playing on the left, playing as the main guy, obviously you expect the best from him. But he has to adapt his game style, and bring what he brought to the games today in those matches.
I think what you said completely makes sense, but I would still stick my wager on what I kind of DM'd you after the Brazil Spain game, that with the national side he has a lot more responsibility. At least what I felt from watching the game was that he had a lot more responsibility to be central, and it plays to obviously his strengths. When Vinicius and Jude is basically doing their thing down the left, I know Rodrigo also sometimes, to create an overload, comes over to the left and kind of plays off each other. But more often than not, it's Rodrigo's role to be out wide on the right, apart from Danny, more often than not in a setup.
The thing is, like, you make a valid point about the fact that he was playing more centrally for Brazil, but the thing is, like, the focus of the thing is, like, the focus of Rodrigo's performance is in the fact that how good he is, like, playing in a particular area. It's more about the fact that what makes him good. What made him good in that particular game was his combinations, and was his was it him being himself, him not being hesitant, him being somebody who was like, who stepped up and took charge. That is the Rodrigo we need. I don't really care about the fact that Rodrigo is probably not scoring at the best rate. For me, more important is the fact that Rodrigo is getting into space. Like, let's talk about the second goal that we scored today. This goal, brilliant play by Jude, brilliant play by Toni Kroos, because I think Toni Kroos, like, creates that goal.
Basically,
Jude,
bet four man with a
Jude makes a brilliant pass. But then the thing that we didn't really pay much attention to, that Rodrigo has a lot of space. Why does he have that space? He has that space because Joselu makes that run across. He essentially opens up that entire right wing, the Bilbao right wing, for Rodrigo to attack into. So when you have these combinations, Rodrigo, maybe when he's playing with Vinicius and Bellingham, what happens is, like, a lot of time there are these spaces that he's not getting into because he kind of tries to stick to the right. And why is he doing that? Because previously he used to do it. Previously he would get into that particular space that was left open, but he's not doing it because he doesn't really have the confidence. He's doing it, but because he's not being dominant, he's not being assertive, and he's kind of being, timid, given the fact that he's had this bad run of form where he's not scoring goals and everybody's getting on the back of him. And I think Ancelotti's tactics, maybe he's giving him some instructions, maybe he's telling him stick to the right, don't go centrally. I don't really know what's happening, but for me, what I want to see on the field is Rodrigo being more assertive, him combining with everybody, taking those chances, because Vinicius is somebody who who kind of drifts wide and likes to play on the left. So that leaves a lot of space, and Bellingham is the only one who's playing in those regions. And then when Bellingham is also going left, we need somebody to, come in and occupy the defenders and, help open up spaces. So for me, when Rodrigo is playing with Vinicius and Bellingham, it's not just about him scoring goals, about him getting into goal scoring opportunities, but also about the fact that he can help open up spaces for other people. So I mean, I just need him to be more assertive and dominant. That's all.
100%. Rodrigo, for me, from what I actually took away from this game as well, what you made really makes sense. Again, I think this is out there in plain sight. I think even, you know, Carlo, Davide, Francesco, all these guys, they clearly know the fact that when Vinny and Jude basically are playing down the left, if it was a Hoselu, or if it was someone who is a traditional striker, I think Jude kind of, is a lot more, fitted in towards that role. But when it's Vinicius, especially, like, he can't really make those runs, like what you mentioned, Hoselu basically pulling that guy out of the equation, down Bilbao's right. Like, I also think that also plays a big role where Rodrigo kind of has to, work extra, to basically find that half yard of space inside, or maybe that half yard in between the lines to maybe pull off a shot. Because by the time Rodrigo gets into a good position with Jordan Vinny, it's the chances basically gone. The probability of basically even testing a keeper with high probability shot is basically nullified, a lot more so than what we saw today. But I guess against City, we know the eventual lineup is going to be Jude, Rodrigo, and Vinny. I just hope the synergy is a lot more fluid. I just hope the synergy is a lot more, basically, like, I would want my side to, like, if they were blindfolded, they should be able to find people, right? um Over the last couple of months, the biggest gripe I used to have was the fact that when people basically look up and try to scan what's going on around them, they look clueless, for large parts. I just hope this kind of setup doesn't remind us of what has been happening over the past couple of months. But Farouk, man, talk to us about the finish, the first goal. Rodrigo has been scoring those kind of finishes this season, on more than a couple of occasions, like basically him bending it towards the right of the keeper, no, towards the left of the keeper, basically in the right corner. um it really takes some finesse.
Yeah, definitely. Again, it starts from as usual. It's always a strong change of play. I think it was from Brian Diaz again. It was super performance again from Brian. It was a change of a swing of direction of the ball, and it was Rodrigo in there. And I kind of felt like he was forced into making that decision, because the point was he was basically a 1-1 army, and then Jude came along, and okay, like, he also had Mendy as an option, but literally, like, it was a forced shot. But yeah, it was something that was taken to perfection there. But again, just it goes to counter the point that I feel like because you guys talk about Jude and Vinicius playing together, but the thing is that if Vinicius was in this game, that ball was going to go to Vinicius, not to Rodrigo, for even both goals. You understand? That's the thing that happens. But I think we talk about combinations, but I think again, when you look at this game, like, other than on the second goal, for this first goal as well, it wasn't a combination. It's just that moment of individual brilliance. Again, that's the thing. Like, I feel like maybe we just have to accept the fact that this team,
Farouk, I
we're
don't
not
think
going
it
to
was
see
a
the team
moment
that
of.
we had.
I think there was individual brilliance in that goal, but then you also, like, there was also this thing about combination and movement that was in this goal. You mentioned two players who were in that particular goal, involved in that particular sequence. Was the fact that, right, three particular players. Brahim, first of all, the switch of play. Second of all, Mendy, his run outside kind of takes away one defender, and then Jude. That run that he makes across Rodrigo is the one that opens space, opens up the let's say, yeah, it opens up that particular range, that particular area of the pitch for Rodrigo to get that shot off. And I mean, it was definitely Rodrigo's individual brilliance, but that it is the combination understanding of movements over there that creates that goal. It isn't just about Rodrigo taking the ball and dribbling across the lines. It was a combination of movements and passes that really made that goal happen. So I can't agree when you say it's just like it's down to purely individual
So
brilliance.
that's the thing. Like, I think in the 60th minute or in the 70th minute, there was a situation that happened like that. It was not exactly the same, but it was something similar. And the ball went to Mendy, and the ball went back to defense. That's why I mentioned to you that it's because the point I'm trying to make here is that what was the passing option that Rodrigo had there? Like, who
I
could he have
remember that
picked out
one.
in that
That
point?
I think that particular point, Mendy wasn't really expecting the ball to come to him, but I do remember that one. And he kind of, Mendy takes the ball and he kind of passes it back. But then the thing is, like, when Rodrigo is combining, it isn't just going to be with Mendy, right? It's going to be with a lot of players. Let's say Rodrigo is playing on the right. He's going to have Fede to combine with. He's going to have Rodrigo. He's going to have Carvajal to combine with. He's going to have whoever is playing in a Cruz to combine with. Whoever is playing DM, maybe Chouameni to combine with. The thing is, like, you rightfully said that Rodrigo is going to be, let's say, he's not going to be the primary scorer, but he's going to end up being the facilitator. So what I'm saying is it isn't just about Rodrigo scoring goals, but it's also about how fast and how quickly we progress the ball. Because Real Madrid, like, even in today's game, the ball progression for Real Madrid in the opposition half was pretty poor. So, we need Rodrigo to be combining with all of these players, with Jude and everybody, and to attack that space so that we open up space for others, for players like Vinicius. Even if Rodrigo isn't scoring, I need that movement from him, that off the ball movement, so that we can create more chances as a team as a whole.
But that's the thing, like, if you're creating overloads towards the left, then how do you involve Rodrigo in this as well?
Yeah, so
because I think it goes back to what Sonedo was saying earlier. Like, when you create overloads towards the left, and as I mentioned today, you put Vinicius and Rodrigo on the pitch today. The ball both goals went to Vinicius, because basically that's where he was. Like, that's where Vinicius plays that, right? Understand? So how do you involve Rodrigo in this situation? This is the question that has to be asked.
See, this is the thing. It was like a couple of games back. There was this situation where Jude and Vinicius combined well, and then they opened up the space, right? But then there's nobody in the central area drifting in from the right to attack that space. And that particular person was supposed to be Rodrigo. They kind of passed the ball expecting somebody to be there, but he's not there. That is supposed to be Rodrigo's job. But the thing is, like, when I was criticizing Rodrigo, like, earlier, towards before the international break, we were talking about this thing, because Rodrigo that time was being too timid. He wasn't doing things that he used to do previously, like making these runs, like making these off the ball movements. He was when I say he's being timid, he's not daring. It is this what I'm talking about, of him just sticking to that particular role, that particular side, and not doing more, not being more creative, not being more intelligent with his runs. And that is something that I want him to do. Combinations isn't just about getting the ball and passing it to somebody. It's also about the fact that how you make your movements so that you can open up spaces for others. So that is the thing that I want Rodrigo to do. And even if Vinicius is there, even if Jude is there, Rodrigo can still do that. He can still be a facilitator. It's not about just I'm not talking about Rodrigo scoring 20-30 goals in a season for him to satisfy me. What I need from Rodrigo is for him to be influential without even scoring goals. So that is the kind of football I expect from Rodrigo, and I hope he does give that.
Yeah, I think that makes some sense. And actually, if we could go back, even I think in the month of November, I think we saw that perfectly, because if I'm not mistaken, I think that was the month that we actually played, real human football, not the bullshit that's been served right now. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's something that might happen, might not happen. But again, I just go back to beg the question of that. Because again, there was a situation today, a lot of situations today when we had the ball, we progressed the ball, as you rightly mentioned, we progressed the ball so slowly. And literally, the ball was progressed to the opposition third, and we had just 3 players, and then Fede Valverde, and literally Chouameni and Toni Kroos literally stood on the center of the D. They literally stood still there and expected those 4 to just make magic happen against 10 other players. They literally stood still. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but they literally stood still. That was something that was like mind-blowing for me. Because literally, like, you come from the game of Arsenal against City, okay, yeah, they had like 10 centre-backs on the pitch or whatever it was. You literally were seeing Rodri like being the most farthest player on the pitch. And then we come and like, we play, and like, yeah, it's like 4 attackers against 10 players. So this is where my question comes. Like, honestly, we talk about doing this and that, but until and unless there are people to combine with, I mean, you're not going to come on like, it's some basketball where you can just throw the ball to the rim and it comes back to you and you dunk it. So that's the thing. Like, sometimes it's just like there is a lot of limitations to the way the team is set up, honestly.
Farouk makes very valid points. Like, I've been saying this.
If I can say to what Farouk said, I think he made an interest, like, that's a point that I kind of agree with, like, about Toni Kroos and Chouameni not making those movements today in the first half. But I kind of felt like it kind of improved in the second half as things went on. Maybe not to the level
when the game became more end to end.
Maybe not to the level we want. But the thing is, like, imagine this, Farouk, right? You have Vinicius, you have Jude, you have Rodrigo, right? Who's going to be the farthest player? It's going to be Vinicius. He's going to be on the left. He's going to be occupying in the left half space defenders, right? At that point in time, assume the ball is with Cruz, in the lower, probably in our half, in the half space, somewhere around the halfway line. The thing is, like, at that point, you need Rodrigo to be dropping deep, and you're combining with in that particular half space. Maybe Jude isn't there. Maybe Jude is occupied in the central areas of the pitch, maybe a little bit up. So you need your right winger to drop deep and combine with somebody. Maybe that particular job is what was expected of Brahim today. Maybe he wasn't entirely able to pull it off. For me as well, I think there was an issue today was the fact that our players were like too further apart. They once somebody got the ball, a lot of other players didn't make the moves. I remember Brahim kind of got isolated a lot of times on the right wing with him being on the ball, and two or three athletic players attacking, like pressuring him, but nobody from our team made that move to to provide him with an option. So I think that is one area where you rightfully pointed out that we need to improve. If we were talking about the City game and we said that one area that Real Madrid definitely needs to improve is going to be the off the ball movement, but sadly, it isn't something that's going to improve in, let's say, till like in the next 10 days. I hope Ancelotti does that work, like he does that work over the summer break, over the preseason. But yeah, I mean, I completely understand the point that you're trying to make here, but I hope that it was just down to some of it, not all of it, but I hope some of it was down to the fact that these guys, they played 2 games in like in quick succession in the international break, and before that they had a game to play in the domestic league, and now they're coming in, so the intensity probably wasn't there, because City versus Arsenal is a big game, it's a top of the table clash. Athletic Club versus Real Madrid, maybe in the 50s would have been a top of the table clash. Right now it wasn't, so maybe that is an excuse for the intensity not being there, because in Athletic play the final next week, so they were a little bit lax as well. We were lax, obviously, because we didn't really see the challenge coming to us. So for me, maybe that is a reason why that level of intensity wasn't in this game. But then the point you make about off the ball movements and midfielders being more proactive, especially Cruz and Tchouaméni, I kind of understand that point.
We have the best midfield setup, at least in numbers, in terms of quality, in terms of variety, and in European football, perhaps world football. But Carlo, I don't think really maximizes the weapons he has. He really has to basically, if he has to basically turn the naysayers, over to his side. Basically, he has to look at what Arsenal is doing, look at what City is doing, look at what even Brentford, right, or teams like, I don't know, Amorim, Ruben Amorim, who has been doing some brilliant stuff with even Sporting. They should be looking at how teams are basically playing front foot football by being proactive, by sometimes playing center backs as CDMs, midfielders as center backs. The whole fluidity should be a lot more.
In Ancelotti's defense, I'll say this thing. Real Madrid are playing without a 9 in this particular season, especially given the fact that we lost Benzema, we didn't really sign anyone, and then Jude kind of started scoring goals, and everybody was like, "Yeah, this is your 9." So yeah, it's another thing, like like you and Farouk used to discuss about purple patches. The purple patch is over now. But the thing is, like, what Ancelotti did is, like, he adjusted. He kind of has this whole Real Madrid team playing, like, what he has done is, like, he's taking the midfield, immense quality, immense physical quality, and he's maximized that physical quality. The way this Real Madrid team is set up is like, it's kind of like, it is kind of set up like an American football team. You have a quarterback in Toni Kroos. Everybody just gets the ball to him, and then they kind of expect him to throw the ball to our runners. And in Vinicius, in Rodrigo, in Fede Valverde, in whoever is playing alongside Cruz, maybe Tchouaméni, Camavinga, they have these guys who are very willing runners. Even Jude, like, to an extent, they have these guys who are very willing runners that facilitate that pass from Toni Kroos. So I think what Ancelotti has done is he's playing a different style of football. But then I would kind of repeat what, to your point, I would repeat what Farouk often says, like, this is what Ancelotti does. This is his style, You're talking about him being more fluid, being more like guys at Brentford, or maybe, City, like you mentioned Arsenal, Arteta, and all of these coaches. But I think Ancelotti has a different style, and the way we are playing is kind of a result of that. It is also a result of the fact that our recruitment is heavily driven by star power. It's not driven by players fitting a particular brand of football. So I think with that aspect, I think it's really difficult sometimes for the manager to, put a team together that can be truly fluid, especially when you are playing without, let's say, like us right now, without a 9. So I kind of understand the point you're making, and I kind of understand the desire to see that
It'll come to the forefront when we play against City. Not in the first leg, because in the first leg I completely expect them to be a lot more conservative. But when we are going to play away at the Etihad, and basically we'll have to watch. I repeat, what we saw last year, us setting ducks. That's when you realize, oh, why aren't we being proactive? Why
Yo,
aren't
Mo,
our
didn't we see here in the summer and tonight it was like, yeah, the whole Bellingham is gonna be the Trump camp, like when we go against City and shit like that. I literally told this guy this formation will work
Dude,
against across 38 games, but it will not work in the knockout ties. And he was like, nah, in the league
it's
we're
gonna it's gonna
suffer,
it's
in the
gonna bring
UCL
us
we're
a La
gonna lose.
Liga. Did we have a God-given right to win La Liga? In the beginning of September. We didn't. We didn't, right? We didn't.
But
But
anyways,
I'm just being
actually,
honest.
No, man, I think
actually,
I think the point about City dominating and us being sitting there is something that we'll see on the field. Let's see. I mean, there are still a few weeks away. We kind of have to play City, and we'll see how the game goes. But right now, this team against City is going to be incredibly transition heavy, because we have to maximize the quality of the players we have, and I think playing transition football is the way that I think Ancelotti is going to set us up, given the quality that we have and given how we have played so far, and especially when we point out, like both you and both you, Farouk and Sunet, both of you guys have pointed this out well. Real Madrid, when they're attacking, they kind of have like 2 or 3 players in the attack. So in such a situation, you really need the opposition to not have numbers back. So I think transition is the way
And
we're going to play.
all
and we'll
of
see
our
how it goes.
passes, all of our moves has to be pin perfect. Otherwise, we just the move breaks down pretty early for us.
It's the Champions League. It's a game that would have been worthy of the Champions League final. It's coming in the quarterfinal stage. So let's just imagine this is the final, and so in the
To Farouk's bite back, okay?
When you play
wait.
the final, you have to be perfect. So I think that's what is expected of the game against it.
100%. But to Farouk's bite back, for bringing up shit that we spoke, 8 months ago, I'll tell him one thing, right? This is something we expected. This is something we all know. Farouk basically, told us we all know what Carlo is about, right? But we are basically, I think, one step away from winning La Liga. And against City, when basically most of the teams, even in the Premier League, struggle. Who are we to basically, have a depleted side, have aging players, having guys like Cruz still in the equation, expect to control games? We can't, right? We knew this in September. We are going to find it out again, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But how we manage the first leg is going to completely decide how we play the second leg, in my opinion. And I hope, in the first leg we are a lot more proactive. We basically, go at them and basically,
actually,
Mm.
I
Go
have
on,
more
Farouk.
confidence than you in Simpson. Actually, I feel like everything goes down to what Carlo does, because I feel like Carlo's gonna come up with some stupid shit, and then all of a sudden we're gonna go.
No. I
trash
don't think
again.
he'll do that.
Because,
Mm.
bro. See, the thing is this: last year we were both confident that we could go to the HL and get a result. What did Carlo Ancelotti do? He goes and plays 10 men on the line. 10 men on the line of the 18 box. What can you do with that?
Even Arsenal did that, to be honest. Even today, Arsenal did that
bro, like,
to a
Arsenal
large
beat-
extent.
Arsenal
Bro,
beat
they
that
probably
at
had
certain
couple of-
intervals. At certain intervals.
couple
bro.
of getaways,
At certain
that's it.
intervals, man. At certain intervals. What I'm trying to point out to you here tonight is that
Fair.
if you have runners against 4 or 5 centre backs that City play, you're definitely going to exploit them, because the point is, if I have Ike running against Vinicius, definitely Vinicius is going to win that. Rodrigo against what's he called, Gaviador, definitely Rodrigo is going to win that race. You understand? But the point is that you, as more rightly pointed out, you need to be able to get your quarterback in a position to find the runners. But if Carlo Ancelotti goes with that whole deep block of, you can't even call that a deep block. You have to call that a double deep block. You understand? That's like so deep and But honestly, like, the point is, when you look at that, like, because I don't know. I just feel like Man City is not as invisible as they seem. You understand? Honestly, okay, you have a machine in Haaland, and you have, if you can, and you talk about this. When you see the game today, actually, for me, the game against Arsenal City, one thing I noticed the most is that Arsenal forced players like Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva to get the ball in their own half, where they can do the least of the damage, which means we'll push them away from your goal. But
They had one shot on target, man. One shot on target, City.
Exactly. So if we push them away from the goal, it's something. Okay, our team cannot do this. I know. I'm not expecting our team to do this. As Mo has pointed out, it's something that we've said over and over. This is who Carlo is. Like, the man is like 60 years old. He's not going to change today, of course, and we don't expect him to change. You understand? But if he doesn't go with the stupid double, triple defensive block that he has, I do genuinely believe we can exploit Man City, especially also with the absence of Edison in goal as well. That can be something that can be really interesting. I hope he doesn't come back till the game, anyways.
I think he'll be back. I think he'll come back.
The
The
word is
amount
proactive.
the
We have
amount
to be proactive.
the amount of City
Simple
players
as.
that pulled off injured, like I know, I'm kind of
Bro, we can never be
surprised.
proactive, man. I really wish John Stones wouldn't come back, man. But Stone is
See,
also
the
coming
thing
back
is,
because I
see,
feel
the
like
thing is, like, see, I'm not the greatest tactician in the world. Okay, none of us are, right? Like, we are fans, right? Sometimes our sentiment also plays a part in how we view games. Me especially, I'm the guy who basically gets carried away with emotion after a game. But I would take a win any day of the week or a loss any day of the week, right? If we play front foot football and basically make this a punching contest. Because if we sit deep and basically try to negate what City does, they'll just play off the park. Even against Arsenal, even though they were largely kind of nullified by how excellent Saliba and Gabriel were, um, they still had 40, 45 touches, in Arsenal's box. Completely dominated possession for large parts. Arsenal basically had to pray that they were being clinical. But if we basically, like what Farouk said, try to kind of target their key men and basically nullify what they do close to our D box, that's going to be the difference, man. Like either way, if we kind of sit deep or basically make it a punching contest at the Etihad, it's gonna go. It's gonna end up basically them scoring. I feel like, but if we are
I,
proactive,
I
it
think
gives us a
I
better
think for me
chance.
personally, against
Hmm.
City, because like this game, this post match is essentially turned into a pre match for City. I don't know, like 9 days of build up, but yeah, like I think from a Real Madrid point of view, because I don't watch City, so I don't really know much about those guys, so I can't really plot a whole game out against City. For me personally, I think for Real Madrid, there are going to be a couple of key things. The most important thing is like how do we get the ball out of the back, because there are going to be a lot of times where we're going to be forced back, and our defenders are going to be having the ball. Today, I was kind of thinking that Ancelotti's probably going to go with Chouameni in the central of the defense, because I think that
Nacho,
is,
Nacho, holy shit!
man, let me finish, please. So I was thinking that Ancelotti is probably gonna go with Chouameni today, because he would probably want him to get a run out, because when Chouameni plays without David Alaba, I think Chouameni is somebody we need in the center of defense to get that ball out. But I think Ancelotti's line of thinking was the fact that when you're playing against Haaland, you need two good central defenders, not just one. So he probably decided to stick with Nacho in this game. So I guess that's who he's gonna start against City as well. So I think for Real Madrid that it's going to be very important how Cruz and Chouameni position themselves with respect to the center back, so that we can get the ball out. Because if you guys remember, I think it was during the 1920 season where even when we went to the Etihad, I think we had immense trouble getting the ball out because of Casemiro and how he was positioned, and there was an immense pressure on Varane and Militao, and Varane like made a couple of mistakes that gave goals away. So for me, that is going to be the first thing. The second thing is like once we get the ball to Cruz in like in positions that he likes the balls in, how do we handle the movements of our runners? We're talking about players like Jude, Camavinga, but then also about Vinicius and Rodrigo. How can they get into spaces? How can they exploit the spaces that City are obviously going to leave when they push up and try to play their proactive football? For me personally, last season where we struggled was the fact that we didn't really exploit them at the Etihad. We didn't really control the ball. We didn't really progress the ball well. So I think today, in this game, whenever we go to Etihad or be at the Bernabeu, we definitely gonna need it. For, our runners to be making those runs and getting the ball into Cruz at the right time, and not getting stuck with the ball in the back, because I think those things really cost us at the Etihad last season.
I get the notion that two center backs is going to be definitely better than playing one guy out of position. But Nacho is a tremendous liability.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry. I'm sorry. At this
he
level,
had a pretty good game today.
some of his decision making, especially on the ball, right? Like his anticipation of basically what to do when the ball comes at his feet is just below average this season. I know he had a
bro,
good
man
game. He
had a
had a
good game,
good
man.
few recoveries in general, but like overall, like if it's City's press, like I don't think Nacho is basically playing through it. Simple as. But yeah, I guess that's basically our only hope. We lose
Actually,
Chouameni's. Go on, Farouk.
Yeah,
Go
so
on.
maybe you're being so generous. You actually think City is going to press us. We're literally going to give them the ball and tell them, come, sir. And then give it to them, come again, sir. And give it back to them and then come again, sir. There is not going to be any press, bro. There is not going to be any press. Honestly, I'm serious. There's not going to be any press. It's just as Mo said. The ball is just get the ball, give it to close, let him find someone. That's just it. Repeat and repeat and repeat. I mean, if you think there's going to be a press somewhere, nah, you're in for a very long night, bro. I mean, just go there. Whatever works for you. If it's alcohol, if it's coffee, if it's water, just take it and keep so you can calm the nerves. Otherwise, you're going to go crazy and hope for the best.
I just can't, take Steve's smug face for another year running, honestly. But yeah, man,
I mean,
pick up
personally,
Steve.
I was kind of reading this funny thing today. The City played, like, I think it was talking about the record against the traditional Big Six in the Premier League, and
Just one win.
the only team that won against is United. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I definitely get City are a pretty brilliant team, and I would never make the mistake of underestimating them. But I think you guys are kind of like downplaying Real Madrid a little bit too much, especially given the fact that we've never been eliminated by the same team 2 years in a row in Champions League.
Oh, is
No.
that a stat?
We have a
Okay.
chance. We have a chance. Don't please understand. Like I do believe we have a very strong chance. What I'm saying is that we
I
would
mean,
have a
the
chance,
thing
but we
the
would
thing is like, okay,
have a very shitty game as
I
well.
understand you guys being cautious, but the thing is, when you call yourself a Madridista, you can never go and say that we're gonna lose this game. Real Madrid
I'm not saying we're
always,
gonna lose. I'm
Real
just
Madrid
saying we're
always
gonna
goes
win.
into the ties with their head held high. They always go into the tie saying we're gonna win. And I mean, I understand, like, yeah, City are a pretty good team, but the thing is, like, Real Madrid has a history of taking out good teams. When we faced against Bayern in 2014, Bayern were a brilliant team. Bayern were a dominant team. Real Madrid
They were
weren't going to
flying.
do anything with the ball. Real Madrid didn't do anything with the ball, but we still smacked them for 5 over 2 legs. So the thing is, like, yeah, I understand City are a good team, and I understand it's entirely possible that they're going to play us out of the park. But then I also believe in our players, and I know they can do it. They can beat City. If there's any team in Europe that can beat City in the Champions League, it's Real Madrid.
Also against Bayern, we shouldn't forget that at the Allianz, like we had set piece specialists who just, whether it be Ramos, especially Ramos.
I
Let's
mean,
be honest.
I
Man could
believe Real
score.
Madrid is the team with the most goals from set pieces this season in Europe.
I know, I know, I know. But like watching games, right? When a set piece comes in, right? Compared to the Zidane era, probably Ancelotti's
Yeah,
years,
Ashik is
or
saying that
Mourinho's years.
we've been eliminated by 2 years in a row by Lyon. No, we weren't. We were never
Like
eliminated.
when have we watched the game? Farouk, can you be honest with me? Have you watched the game and felt before a set piece, oh, this is going in? Like I haven't had that kind of a
No,
confidence. No,
no.
no chance. So the stats,
I
yes,
was pretty
sounds
confident
good,
today
looks good.
when Toni Kroos was crossing into it, and I felt that Tchouaméni is going to score. I kind of went off the post, but
Good chance, but it doesn't hit the same. I'm really
I
sorry,
mean,
but
the way you guys present sometimes feels like Real Madrid is like completely rubbish team, from the bottom half of the Premier League, and
bro,
we're going
I
to
can
play against
fake
the
it, right?
behemoths
This
of
is the
City.
conversation
No, I'm not
among
faking it. I'm
us,
just saying
right?
I fully
We are not
respect
with
City.
Steve. Like I wouldn't be saying this to Steve,
No.
right? We are gonna get
I'm
plummet.
going to say this. Even the first time we did the preview, I said the same thing. I said it. I fully respect City. I mean, they're one of the best teams in Europe. Last season, they were the best team in Europe, and you can never take a champions lightly. But the thing is, I am not going to take Real Madrid lightly either. If there's a team that's going to go to Etihad and get a result, it's Real Madrid. If there's a team that can knock out City this season, it's Real Madrid. So for me, yeah, City are the favorites. City are probably the best team in Europe, if you guys want to say it. Yeah, definitely. But the thing is, like, I'm never going to discount Real Madrid's chances in the Champions League.
Yeah,
Fair
no one is
enough.
discounting Real Madrid more. The only thing I'm saying is that Real Madrid will win. Maybe we will win, but the point is that we're going to win the way Stoke City won against United or the way Stoke City won against Arsenal, you understand? It's going to be in a very shitty way. And the problem I have with this is that we have a team that has which has the best midfield personnel in the world, but we cannot play toe-to-toe with these guys. And why? It's because of a certain Italian that coaches the team. This is the point that I'm
No,
making.
Farouk, to counter your argument, there have been points in this season where we have been actually super, super high flying, right? We have
Yeah,
gone toe to
November,
toe
December,
with
yeah.
good
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah, November, December, we were really good, honestly. But what I'm just saying is that when we go to the game against City, we're just going to be second fiddle. Even though if we win, we will win by being second fiddle when it should not be so. You talk about the Bayern Munich game. Of course, we didn't do anything with the possession. But when anyone who watched that game, understand that, yeah, Real Madrid had the plan, executed the plan to the T, and they were the better team on the night.
Farouk,
You
by the way,
understand?
who
It's
was
not-
the manager against Bayern?
Of course, that's the thing I'm saying. Like, he's 60 years old now, and he's not going to change now. He's already past it. Then he was the guy.
I mean,
Just like
I do
Mourinho was
trust
the guy
Ancelotti
in
to
the
have a plan.
past.
That's all
Now
I'm
he's
saying.
no longer. I hope that the plan is not as the plan of last year, and I hope he doesn't have.
Yeah,
a
I
plan.
mean,
Let me just let the
I
players
think last
play
year
what
they
want.
had a plan. They simply couldn't execute it. I mean, City were brilliant. They played us out of the park, and I mean, there's a full, let's say there's a decent amount of chance that that's going to happen again. City are completely going to play us out of the park. They don't let us play our game. But the thing is, like, the opposite can also happen. And by the way, I think Rajat mentioned us about losing to Dortmund. I think we only lost to Dortmund in 2013, and we were knocked out about Bayern in 2012. So yeah, 2 years in a running, never the same team.
Right. A few other comments before we, delve further into the actual Bilbao, post match. But it's like I get most gripe, but man, City is the bigger picture.
No, man,
Unfortunately, even for
I
today.
completely okay.
Um,
I agree with that. This game was like pretty in the doldrums. So
Even for Bilbao, they have a Copa del Rey final
Yeah.
to win a trophy since the 80s, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, man, the focus is completely off this game. Like Ashik, he was mentioning at the very beginning, I think Vinny will come back, Rodrigo will get pushed to the right and end up in anonymity again. You know the script. Like Ashik, man, he was also mentioning match was boring. It was lifeless with some moments of entertainment. It was more soul sucking. Sauron and his two towers. I don't get some of his references, but pick up Ashik.
It's like a Lord of the Rings.
It's Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, yeah. Okay. I haven't watched Lord of the Rings. Probably, should get to it sometime.
Yeah. By the way, you could also said I have not read Lord of the Rings. But yeah.
Okay, fair. The books, obviously. Roll me one Kenobi. Big up Kenobi. He was mentioning Rodrigo Lefting was cooking tonight. So happy to see Militao back. Yeah, man. Big up Militao. The reception itself speaks volumes. How high the Bernabeu rates him. Ashi was also mentioning we should play Rodrigo on the left whenever we go to away stadiums to avoid having Vinny get abused and Vinny losing focus. I don't think that's the right way to go about it. Vinny has to take it on his chin. Ashik was also mentioning Walker's absence will hurt City because Vinny will have open field to exploit. Man, don't get fooled. Pep has the script the way he wants it to look like. Walker is gonna be back. He's gonna be fit and firing. Watch it. It's gonna be him basically starting a right back.
I mean, almost every City player seemed to have some sort of an injury in the international break. So I'm not really sure like how
John Stones,
injured
I
they
thought
are.
his situation is going to be way worse than Walker, and he was on the bench today. So yeah, don't expect any
I mean,
any advantages.
it's Dr. Bacteria after all. He has his ways with things.
Who, Pep? Yeah. I know what you mean, but it's a whole nother episode in itself. Rajat was mentioning hope we can screw up Manchester City. Pick up Rajat. Rajat was also saying not fully fit Stones and Walker, and if they play Guardiola, who is the centre back and left back, then Real Madrid will feast up. Guardiola had his fair share of issues playing at left back, but Ake, man, he has been one of the finest players in the Premier League this season at left back. Has been really, really good. Even him, he had a slight, I think, knock or a pull.
I think I just
today.
not underrate players like Guardiola because Guardiola is like he's an immense talent. So players of this
100%.
quality always step up in big games. So even if he's playing left back, it doesn't really matter how he's played so far.
Right. Few more of the comments. Kenobi was mentioning KDB's legs are gone, bro. I just hope we really don't look at it that way because De Bruyne, I really used to hate.
I just like to remind
the hype.
Kenobi there was this one guy who used to tell us in private that suddenly somebody's legs were gone. After that, he had to hit a humble pie. So, just be careful.
Kroos's legs are really gone. He doesn't sprint, does he? But yeah.
So
Yeah,
the point is you don't really need legs to influence games. You can do it without.
You don't. But the point that we discussed earlier, Mo, me and Farouk basically having runners from deep.
Yeah,
This is
Cruz isn't
where,
going to be the
that
runner.
comes into
Cruz is
play.
the quarterback.
He's the quarterback, I get it, but
Yeah,
yeah,
the runners are
yeah,
going to be other
yeah,
people.
fair point. Fair point. Um, who should we touch upon next? I mean,
Militao maybe.
Brahim Diaz. Brahim Diaz has been the standout substitute for us. Stepped in time and time again, has proved what he's about. Um, has had his fair share of struggles, especially with confidence, with fitness. But this guy really has to be the first player off the bench. Like even against City, I know Hoselu might be a switch up in plans if the situation basically demands it. But Farouk, talk to me, Ibrahim, man. Hit the post. Had a say in the first goal as well. Was influential everywhere tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Even for the preview, we were talking about who was going to, replace Vinicius for this game, and yeah, like there was just no other person than Diaz, man. Like Brian Diaz has literally played his role into contention. And the thing I love about the fact about Brian is that he gives something so different from both Vinicius and Rodrigo. You understand? Because the point is, when you want to make a sub, you want someone who has a different, who's going to take the game from a different direction, who's going to give you a different impetus to the game. And I think Brahim actually has really really done that. And he's, as you mentioned, he had a lot of issues at the beginning. Like we were all wondering, like, is he going to be the person to step up to replace Asensio, or like there for this and that. But and he's actually even sure to to have a lot of impact on the game, and to the extent that we feel really comfortable going into these huge ties such as the game against City. That yeah, if there is need be, we can always bring on Diaz to the game, and it's great. And also the thing about I love about Diaz also is that he has this ability to connect with players that sometimes we don't see, even when the front three starts with Vinicius, Rodrigo, and Jude Bellingham. Like there's this sometimes that disconnect that exists, but when Brahim plays, like he's like someone that forces that connection to happen, honestly. So I think for that reason, honestly, you have to just appreciate the effort from Brian Diaz. And yeah, I mean, just more grace to his elbow, man, honestly.
Mo, agree? Brahim Diaz?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have been more critical about Brahim than anybody else on the panel, and I had my doubts about his role in the team, but he has I keep saying, like every episode since, he's completely proven me wrong. But then you mentioned about him being first substituted for a City game. I have my doubts about that because I don't really think he offers enough defensively that you might need in a game like that. So for me personally, I would still stick with Hotel as the first sub. Ultimately it's up to what the situation of the game is, and which player you're replacing. But for me, as good as Brahim has been, I would be cautious about having him against City, as first sub or whatever. But in this game was pretty brilliant. He was unlucky not to score that particular goal, and I think he's underrated outside of Real Madrid's fan base because I was listening to the Big Three show that you guys have put together brilliantly, and I was listening to it, and I felt like he didn't really have much of a consideration from other teams fans. Not teams apart from Real Madrid, especially when it comes to the Spanish national team, because I felt like Brahim totally deserves that spot. Maybe not ahead of a guy like Lamine Yamal or somebody like that, but then he deserves to be a part of the 23. And the way that they overlooked him, the way with De La Fuente has dealt with the situation was pretty pathetic. So yeah, good luck for Brahim, and I kind of appreciate how well he has performed for Real Madrid. Especially after coming back from 3 loan spells at Milan. Brilliant performance from him today, and I hope he keeps doing that. Let's see if he plays against City and repeats it and proves me wrong again.
Fair enough. Brahim, especially, I'm super happy. Always would like to reiterate, has been a huge fan of him, for the last 3-4 years. I like what he's about, his tenacity, his commitment to the cause. Yes, defensively he is a liability because he doesn't really have that imposing of a stature, but I think he's a good presser. He really can't be expected to defend like someone who can really put in a shift. But in a game that needs some magic, some special keys to unlock a defense, I think Brahim has it. Um, but yeah, Tony Cruz, we have done this to death. Has been really really good this season. One of his standout years in his 10 years or so with us. Again, exceptional. Rudiger, we have been singing his praises for the longest. Again, Ramadan special has been at it the entirety of the season, bar maybe a couple of games where he was a bit off it. Sensational. The amount of responsibility that Rudiger has on his shoulders to marshal a defense is going to be talked about for a long time. If we manage to win the Champions League and the La Liga double, it's going to be, Rudiger is going to have a brilliant um, documentary to look back at, if that's the case. Because yeah, man, this man is basically playing out of his skin. Um, Chouameni, Mo, I'm going to stick with you. I'm not sure how to exactly put it, whether it was his positioning, whether it was him being a little leggy. He really couldn't influence the game the way I wanted him to. Some of his passing was off, decision making was off, rash in the tackles.
I
Some
kind
of
of disagree
Chouameni,
with
man.
you. I kind of disagree with you. I
Mm,
felt Schumann was pretty
mm,
decent. I mean, I kind of was like a little bit disappointed with Cruz in the first half, especially with his passing,
mm,
because a lot of his
mm,
cross field passes weren't even hitting the target. So for me, that was my issue with Cruz. With Chouameni, I kind of felt he was decent. You talked about the tackles. I remember there was one particular tackle that he got wrong on timing, but then that's the role of being a tackler. Sometimes you hit them, sometimes you miss them. But for me, I don't know. Maybe Farouk can, maybe Farouk has a better insight into it. But for me personally, I don't really have much to fault Germany for today.
I don't know. I expect a lot more from Chouameni, especially in transition. But yeah, man, go on, Farouk. Chouameni,
Yeah,
Cruz.
yeah, man. For me, actually, I just felt like, like I feel like on the defensive side, like Chouameni was really good. I just feel like the contribution towards the offense that I mentioned earlier is something that was missing. And I also actually, sided with more on the issue of Tony Kroos as well. Like, okay, yeah, eventually in the second half, we get that pass that, split and literally the whole of the midfield and, gave us the platform to build on. The second goal, I kind of felt like the passes were, as you guys have literally quoted him as, quarterback, I felt like, that quarterback role was actually lacking today in some aspect of the game. And but yeah, towards the second half, it got a bit better, but not to the level that I would expect of from Tony Cruz. But I felt like both of them defensively actually were there, like were present. Just like on the offensive output was literally almost lacking from them, honestly, today.
Fair enough. Honorable mentions. Danny Carvel was struggling a bit, but as the
For
team
me,
improved in the second half.
Carvajal is the biggest worry for Real Madrid going into this part of the season. At the beginning, he was
Mm,
like brilliant, and we were like right singing
yeah,
praises of him.
yeah.
I mean, I am personally a little bit biased towards him because he's from Castilla
Mm,
and everything. But man, like for me, Carvajal is a big worry going into the second half of the season because I've seen his performances regress, especially from January onwards, like January February onwards. I always hope that this was a result of fatigue. Maybe he's gonna pull it out. Maybe it's the valley of Pintus doing its work on him. But right now, I'm a little bit worried about him because like when you look at his errors, what are his errors? He's always making the same pass. He knows there's pressure gonna be there, but he still makes that pass. He still makes that pass despite knowing that somebody's going to intercept. There's a risk, but he still makes that pass. He's still taking that risk. I think he's become somebody who becomes overconfident, I guess, at some moments in time. And physically as well, going forward, I kind of find him struggling a little bit. He's not getting the same areas that he was in the first half of the season. In those tight areas, getting those shots off. And I think today also he kind of messed up a couple of chances, but then he's a right back, so you
the
have
touch
to
was off.
yeah, you have to give him that leeway. But then even defensively, I think I remember Berenguer like completely outplayed him. And that's Berenguer. And now what happens when you're going against somebody like Grealish or maybe a pacey guy like Doku, a skilled pacey guy like Doku, Or if we somehow reach the final and there's one Kylian Mbappe playing against us, how is he going to handle that? So for me, Carvajal going into the last second part of the season is a big, I'm really worried about him. I hope he proves me wrong because he's always been brilliant. He's always been there when it comes to the big games. I hope he does that again. But yeah, going into the season after performance today, maybe today wasn't that bad, but like previously from what I've seen before the international break as well, I'm a little bit worried about him.
100%. He had a significant dip in his performance right before we went to the international break. But today, I think once the team kind of started being a lot more proactive and the game was kind of stretched, I think it played a bit towards what Carval is about, at least
Yeah,
going forward.
it did, but
I think.
the thing also is like
Mm,
Athletic weren't really attacking him that much because
yeah, yeah,
they had
yeah.
almost no output from their left wing. Imagine now Nico was there. If Nico had been there in
Yeah, if
today's
Nico
game,
was there today.
it was going to
But
be a
I
different
think
game. For me
I think
personally,
it
I'm not going to give him too much flack for today's game. And it's not only about today's game. It's more about how his performances have been from in the second half of the season so far, especially in 2024. So that
even
is my
in
worry.
January, I think he was pretty decent. But I think the turn of February, I think mid February I think since mid February he has kind of fallen off. But let me add this, right. You make a good point. Nico Williams would have really skinned him, but I also think it's a mental thing. If Nico was there, Carval would be a lot more switched on.
Yeah, man, you can't disagree with that because a lot of Real Madrid players, when it's the big games, they kind of turn it on. When games they don't feel that there's enough intensity, they kind of switch off. So that is something that has cost us leagues in previous seasons. I hope it doesn't cost us this season.
I don't think the league is basically done. We just have to see out Barcelona. Like even if it's a draw, I think it's
I mean, clearly
completely
you haven't
over.
seen some of the Excel sheets. So
Yeah, the Excel sheets is it's a fever dream for many, especially on Twitter. Even Hafid, I think, has been getting carried away a bit. He has been doing his math pretty well, over the international break. I saw a couple of his tweets, but for us, La Liga is not the priority. The priority is gonna be what happens in 9 days' time, and I hope the people out there who are basically having their performances. I mean, basically having their issues with this performance would take some solace in the fact that this was a nothing game, for both sides in many ways, and for Bilbao it was much more important because
I can point out one team it wasn't a nothing game for. That was Barcelona. I mean, they had high hopes going into it for Bilbao.
The way it panned out, they basically had to switch off after the first goal itself, because the first goal would really put a dampen on a rival, basically doing a hate along. But
So if I can step on your toes a little bit, I hope you don't begrudge me this, but I think there's an interesting comment from Ashik that kind of there was some interesting news about it today, so I would love to get your guys' views on it. He says that's okay. Carvajal will shape up once Reece James comes to Real on a bargain bin deal, since Chelsea is about to clear the Garrett sale. So what do you guys think about this one? Because there was
Reece James has been linked with us again.
There was this rumor today. I think it was on the Times, but I'm not sure how reliable it is, because if I am not wrong, it was from Duncan Castles. So there's this.
I've heard about the guy, but is he reliable? I don't think so.
I mean, I have my doubts about him, but the rumor is that they are looking at selling Conor Gallagher and Reece James to raise some money, because the thing is, like, these guys are from academy, they don't really cost them that much, and if they sell them, they're gonna get a lot of money. It's gonna be pure profit. So these are two guys that could potentially be on the exit door at Chelsea, especially given the fact that they have signed Malo Gusto and everybody.
Malo Gusto has been
so
really,
and
really
Reece James
good.
barely plays for Chelsea as it is, because he's always injured. So I wonder what you guys feel about this one.
Reece James is basically one for the wards, one for Sanitas. He will be signing for Sanitas, not for us. Unfortunately. I don't know.
But do you think
Farooq
his signing
thinks
is gonna improve Carvajal? Maybe push him.
It's going to definitely improve Sanitas' finances for sure, but I don't think he's going to improve our setup. He's a good player, but man, he can't stay fit. Farooq, man, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, man. Like, James is a world-class player to have, but the point is, what's the point of having that sort of player if he's not there? That's the thing. Like, even the issue I had with Mendy before, at least now that he's shown that he can be a bit rigid, was that, like, he was always injured when it comes to the important points of the season. So, yeah, Reece is going to be someone who's going to be costly, and he's going to also have a lot of wages. And again, he's British, and if there's anything that we know with British players, like, I mean, other than Jude, at least in my experience, they don't show that resilience, honestly. Even, come on, like, we had... Yeah, I just don't want to deal with British players. That's just the thing, honestly. Like, British players do not travel well.
Well, Farooq,
British players do not travel well.
You might have your worst nightmare coming true, given the fact that we're about to sign Trent Alexander-Arnold, apparently.
Trent? Come on, like, we ain't signing no Trent, man. Come on, who's... Trent is going to be the next captain of Liverpool, so they're going to sell him as well. Like, they're building a whole new team. Trent is going to be there. But honestly, James would have been a very, very interesting player. Like, James would have been the perfect signing eventually. But yeah, the injuries are just too much. Just too much, honestly.
And there was this report from Matteo Moretto, Etrelevo, and Fabrizio Romano. Both of them, they were mentioning this fact that Real Madrid are monitoring Trent Alexander-Arnold because he's in his last year of contract next season, I think. So potential free deal if everything goes to plan and he doesn't really renew with Liverpool.
I'll really have to basically, go back on what I thought
it
about
was Suned's
Trent.
worst nightmare. I wouldn't be far behind because we've talked a lot of shit about TAA. So if he does end up coming to Real Madrid, we're gonna have to go back and delete a lot of the.
It's
old
gonna be
videos.
curtains. I'm gonna be honest. Like to chant his name, to basically wish him well. It's gonna be so hard for me personally.
No, I mean, come
'Cause-
on. I don't know why you guys are shitting on like Trent. Like, I mean, come on. Like,
No,
basically,
I'm
this
shitting
is-
on myself,
the-
like
the-
because I said a lot of bad stuff about him. But yeah, man, overall, I think he's a good player, and I think this Real Madrid, he could definitely work.
Definitely, I feel like for this team, you put Trent in there, bro. We are rolling. We are balling, man.
You know what? Somebody actually said that Trent is gonna be Cruz's successor. I remember on
Holy
social media.
shit. People really need some copium to deal with news like that. Maybe Trent Trent can really do a job. But will he be as good defensively as someone like Danny? I don't think so.
I
I
think
mean, come on. You don't
can
have
you-
to have a like for a person. That's the thing. You're not looking for like they offer you different
But-
things, and you have to,
but- but with
you
Real
need to
Madrid,
on the field.
I
They're
think
basically a centre backs
personally,
live on an island.
if Trent comes, if a player like Trent comes, let's not, okay, just to be careful. If a player like Trent comes, what happens? Like the midfield, you take some of the creative burden off of it, and given the fact that how our midfield is, especially with Kamavinga, and
It can cover
Tchouaméni,
for him.
Yeah, so they're gonna be more defensively involved, and you put the offensive creation onus onto a fullback. So I think that is something that could potentially work. But I mean, like
Not to
Farouk
Carlo
said,
Ancelotti though.
oh man, don't worry, it's gonna be Xavi, Alonso's gonna be the next
Alonso?
manager. Real Madrid. Don't
Yeah,
you know,
Carlo-
he rejected,
if
he rejected
Carlo
Liverpool.
wins-
He rejected Liverpool just because he's waiting for Madrid. Or so everybody.
Inshallah,
can
man.
say.
Carlo's going to win the Champions League this year and the next year, and he's going to stay. Yeah, I hope Farouk will be happy with that. Ashik was mentioning, I worry about British players coming as professional players and then all of a sudden start ruling that land. I think they did something similar on a different context in the past. LOL. 100% big up Ashik, man. But yeah, the biggest game of the season awaits. I can't tell you how excited I am and our family are, basically, because the next 10 or so days are jam packed. Starting from basically Friday
So
or
before you
Thursday.
preview the what we are expecting, I think we should play the ad.
Yeah, go for it. I completely forgot.
This episode is brought to you by the spring cleaning champions Manscaped, and this season we partnered up with them to make sure everyone's grass is cut up to standard, because Xavi has been complaining and it's been annoying our secretary. So join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this special offer. Go to manscaped.com, use code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping at checkout. So introducing this season's MVP is the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. It's a trimmer with two blade heads, one to just take a little off the top, or the foil blade basically to go super smooth, and you can use this in the shower. It has two bright LED spotlights, so there's no accidents in the shower. And yeah, it's waterproof, it's easy to clean. You can put this in your travel bag, in your drawer. So to get the full grooming experience, you should get the Beard Hedger Pro Kit and the Handyman Electric Face Shaver. Basically, you get extra parts to really create your signature look and clean up your neckline. So use code LBR20 at checkout to get 20% off and free shipping. That's LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. And thank you for watching. Back to the video.
All right, you're up.
You heard Doris, big up Manscaped. LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping on manscaped.com. Show them some love. And we have a lot of exciting stuff in the pipeline, especially with Manscaped, throughout April, May, and June, and hopefully the summer as well, depending on how much love you guys can show us and show Manscaped. Um, I was kind of doing the outro, but yeah, where was I? Yeah, in 9 days, basically, the destiny of the side, destiny of so many of our senior players, so many of our veterans of Carlo, their legacy is up for grabs, and this is a war cry, right? Like I would request every single one of you to, regardless, I know you would do it, but still, regardless of where we stand with the coaching staff, where we stand with certain players, where we stand with what direction our club is going, we should back the
Farouk.
team back. Why? Why bring in Farouk when you're gonna completely, fuck up my flow? But Farouk included, we are gonna all stand behind the team. We know that for a fact. Farouk says what he thinks. He speaks his heart out. He can just fake it, but he doesn't. So big up Farouk. Neither do I. Neither do Mo. We might have strong points on different topics, whether we agree or disagree on them. Come Tuesday night, at the Bernabeu, and even for the return leg, we are going to be behind the side and basically expecting them to do another miracle like we did, a couple of years ago. And we all know if we pass this test against City, I think the Champions League is basically home, to a large extent, unless something dramatic happens. So, yeah, this is basically a final, and this could be a change in tides, regarding the fate of European glory for the coming decade. I feel like, because if City beats us, they go on to win this for sure. Unless again, football, you never know, anything can happen. But City would be 90% there if they beat us. So I don't want that to happen. I would like our team to basically be the only side to retain the Champions League in the modern history, and be basically uh, the pallbearers for setting the standard in Europe. And Steve, yeah, he's gonna be coming firing in. There not gonna be much pleasantries come the preview. We're gonna be even chatting to Steve in Madrid as well. So look out for all that content. Our team in Madrid is working super hard to get yes, interesting topics, interesting debates for you guys. So yeah, man, show them some love. Also, I think a couple more City guests are gonna be joining us hopefully on Sunday for a live show, before the first leg as well. So yeah, a lot of City oriented content coming up, in the next 5 or 6 days. Big up our partners, Manscaped. Big up our partners, Real Madrid Committee, the OGs, on Instagram. The link is in the description below. Go check them out. They're on a brilliant fan page. Shout out our audio listeners as well, who always stand behind us. We recently hit 50K plays on all audio platforms. It was a surreal moment for all of us. In 2 years, we hit 50K plays. It was largely down to our backbone. That's our audio listener base, who has throughout the years, given his positive feedback, negative feedback, has sent us their love. Yeah, everywhere on Insta, on Twitter DMs. You guys are the best. It really makes a difference for us. Especially coming on. When we hear that we can really make a difference, be a platform of voice, accompany you guys on rides, gym routines, all of that. So yeah, man, it's truly humbling. Would like to extend my immense love and gratitude towards my Let's Be Real family as well, who has been with me through thick and thin over the past 2 years or so.
Bro, I
Again,
hope you're not
big up
dying.
Mo.
Bro, I hope you're not dying.
What was that? That's a pretty fucked up thing to say when
I mean,
you're trying to be,
thank all thanks to my Let's Be Real family, and I was like, why? This guy,
because you
there's
guys
only two
have been
possibilities.
putting in
Either this guy has
putting in the
been,
hard yards.
This guy's been kidnapped by aliens and replaced by some bots, or
Yeah,
he's dying.
Mo
so-
can be as insensitive as an average American. Pardon the pun, but Yeah, man. I'll
Yeah,
apologize on his
very, very
behalf.
insensitive people, man. Yeah, very, very insensitive.
Americans, right?
Honestly,
You
first-hand
know the truth.
experience. First-hand experience. Yeah.
It just gets to him. He's not really like it. Sometimes the influence is too much, too big to
Yeah,
really.
Sohail, you're being too kind, like the Canadians
Fair
are
enough.
ought to be. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Has to be this particular outro for you to bring that side of you outside. But big up Mo, man. Big up Farouk as well, who has been basically one of the OGs, on the panel for a long, long time. Hopefully, this year, like what happened in 2022, is gonna be one big year for all of us and for the club as well, man. Um, but yeah, until next time, people. Ala Madrid.
well,
Real
Madrid.
Madrid.